Buddy Holly was born Charles Hardin Holly, but his mom gave him the nickname Buddy at a young age because she thought the name Charles made him sound too old. His famous last name changed from Holly Holley to Holly Holly due to a typo on his first recording contract. Born in Lubbock, Texas, Holly started playing music at a young age. His parents were both very supportive of his musical interests and even wrote a letter to the local newspaper in defense of teenagers that loved rock and roll music. After Buddy graduated from high school, he put together a band and they played country and western songs on a local Lubbock radio station. Holly's band grew in popularity, and they had the chance to open for many of the large acts that toured through town. Holly's band opened for Elvis Presley in 1955, and that dramatically shifted the direction and sound of Buddy Holly's music career. A talent scout saw Holly performing at a skating rink and signed the young man to a record deal. In early 1956, Holly and his band began recording demos and singles in Nashville under the name Buddy Holly and the Three Tunes. But the group's lineup was later revised, and so was their name. They started calling themselves the Crickets. They settled on the name Crickets, partly because of the insects' ability to make music. Band members included lead guitarist and vocalist Buddy Holly, drummer Jerry Allison, bassist Joe Malden, and rhythm guitarist Nicky Sullivan. After that first year, Sullivan dropped out of the band to resume his education. In 1957, the band put out their first album. Interestingly, Norman Petty, the band's music producer, arranged for their music to be marketed under two separate names. The solo vocals were released as being performed by Buddy Holly, and the songs with extra background vocalists were issued as being sung by the Crickets. Petty did this so that disc jockeys would play the records more, thinking they were recorded by two totally different groups. Holly wrote and recorded his breakthrough hit, That'll Be the Day, with the Crickets in 1957. The song's title and chorus are a reference to a line uttered by John Wayne in the 1956 film The Searchers. Over the next year, Holly and the Crickets had 7 top 40 singles. That'll Be the Day hit number 1 exactly 500 days before Holly's shocking death. Holly proposed to Maria Santiago on their first date in New York when she was filling in as a receptionist at Pier Music, where her aunt worked. They married in the Holly home in Lubbock, Texas, less than 2 months later in 1958. In October 1958, Buddy Holly split from the Crickets and moved to Greenwich Village in New York City. Due to legal and financial problems resulting from the band's breakup, Holly reluctantly agreed to tour through the Midwest in 1959 with the Winter Dance Party Tour. Holly's wife stayed at home because she was pregnant with their first child. Tired of their bus breaking down in sub-freezing temperatures, Holly chartered a private plane to take him from a show in Clear Lake, Iowa, to the tour's next stop in Moorhead, Minnesota. Holly was joined on the doomed flight by fellow performers Ritchie Valens and the Big Bopper. The plane crashed within minutes of leaving the ground, killing all aboard. Buddy Holly was just 22 years old. Country crooner Waylon Jennings became friends with Buddy Holly when they worked together on the radio in Lubbock, Texas. Jennings, who joined the tour to fill in as a cricket, gave up his spot on the doomed flight because the Big Bopper had the flu and wanted to get to the hotel early to help sleep it off. Valens got his spot on the plane when he won the coin toss with Holly's guitarist Allsip. The last time Jennings remembers talking to Holly, the frontman was chiding him for chickening out on the plane ride. "I hope your damn bus freezes up again," Holly said, smiling. Jennings replied with the words that haunted him for years. "Well, I hope your old plane crashes." Holly's death was memorialized in Don McLean's iconic song American Pie as the day the music died. Though his professional career spanned just 2 short years, Holly's recorded material has influenced the likes of Elvis Costello and Bob Dylan. The Crickets pioneered the now standard rock lineup of 2 guitars, a bass, and drums, and Holly received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997. The Rolling Stones had their first top 10 single in 1964 with a cover of Holly's Not Fade Away. The Beatles chose their name as a subtle nod to the influence of the Crickets on their sound, and Paul McCartney eventually purchased the rights to Holly's music. Today you can visit the Buddy Holly Center in Lubbock, Texas, or his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. As technology has progressed, you can now also see a hologram performance of his out on tour. He was also immortalized with his very own postage stamp. Buddy Holly died way too soon, but his music and its influence still lives on today. Thanks for watching Jukebox Jams. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below and click to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the notification bell so you'll be one of the first to know when we post our next video about musical legends.